What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast, where we actually come to you off the back of a Tottenham victory. Today, it's no longer a therapy session, but more. Well, actually, do you know what? We've had 2 wins this week, so it's more of a relax, chat, and let's see what's coming this week, because it could be more excitement or it could be misery. But to join me on this journey, I am joined by Wes. Wes, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, all good. Nice of Arsenal fans to stay humble. After their win, not that long ago. But yeah, no, it's kind of strange talking about wins because we've not had many in the last few weeks and months. But now we've got one. I'm feeling a bit more positive, I think, like the rest of the fan base. So yeah, looking forward to this one.
Yeah, we're definitely one of those fan bases whereby if we win a game, on most parts, people are happy. But if we lose a game, everyone seems to fall off a planet. So we are coming to you off the back of a 2-0 Spurs win away at Brentford, which, we will get into in a minute. But considering, the players that we still have out, Wes, and especially our back line, just touching on that, a pretty impressive win today.
Yeah, I think it was a obviously a much needed win, but I liked for the majority of it the way that we kind of went about things. I think that sort of, in terms of the way we've won, has always been a question mark over Spurs. Like, can we really win ugly? And I think today we proved that we can. Like you said, still a lot of the back line out, still a lot of players out. So to go to a team like Brentford, who are in form. They've got a really good home record, one of the best in the league this year. And not only to get a win, but to keep a clean sheet, I think was, a really, really good thing. And hopefully it will breed confidence going into, what's going to be a crucial few weeks, in terms of shaping our season and what we do, I think, moving forward. So yeah, really, really pleased in terms of the manner in which we won. So I think it was more points over performance today. But yeah, absolutely loved kind of the way that we sort of went about it. A little bit of steel about us today, and like I say, there's been plenty of times where that's been a question mark of Tottenham, not just Ange's Tottenham, but Tottenham in general. So to kind of silence a few of those particular critics today was really nice, I think.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think that it was really like a resilient Spurs performance that we don't usually see, from this Spurs team, to be honest. Real grit and determination, and what we saw at the end, which we will touch on as well, I thought was really, really good to see, and shows that the players are around the manager as well, in my eyes. But let's talk about our latest signing. Kevin Danso from RC Lens in France. I was a bit confused about this one because I was reading articles today, unless I've just been, being weird about it, but that was suggesting that it was a 5.5-year deal. But then I swear on Spurs, on their little WhatsApp channel, they put it down as a loan.
From what I can make out, it's a loan with an obligation,
right? Okay.
To
Why
buy.
Didn't they just say that rather than just it was like, oh, we're delighted to welcome him on loan, and I thought, hang on a minute, I thought it was a 5.5-year deal here.
Yeah, I think it's a loan with an obligation to buy. With Kev, to be honest. So yeah, another player that I'm really excited to kind of speak about because he's from Milton Keynes. He's from my ends, if you like. He's from my area. So, obviously the last one that we had from MK didn't turn out too bad. So no pressure, Kev, but fingers crossed for you, big man. And yeah, looking forward to seeing him in a Spurs shirt, 100%. Because I used to actually kick a little bit of kickball with him, and his brother, once upon a time, who his brother, if he's half as good as his brother, we've got a real player, because his brother was very, very good. Also helped me a lot as a sort of younger player as well. His brother was a scholar at Peterborough once upon a time. So yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a strange one because it's somebody that I know. And it's like, right, well, someone that I know who's from my area has now signed for my club and my team. So yeah, I'm beaming from ear to ear with this particular signing, 100%.
Yeah, that's brilliant, mate. To be fair, and as you say, somebody that you have played with then
Yeah.
currently plays for your club, like, can't be much better than that.
No, it's yeah, like I say, it's a bit of a mad one. Interesting career path and journey. I mean, when I played with him, I wouldn't have thought at that point he was going to be a all action centre half and someone that would break Mbappe's nose in the Euros playing for Austria, because he was more of a winger. And I think that was the route that he was trying to pursue, especially when he was at MK Dons in the academy. And from what I know, some people there weren't convinced that he was going to be like a winger or a wide player. They were trying to convince not only him but people around him and those around him to be he's going to be a centre back. His attributes, his physique scream him being a centre back. So there was a little bit of resistance there. But yeah, obviously had spent some time at Reading, gone away, and made it at Augsburg, and kind of followed him a little bit closely from there. Really, obviously had the loan spell at Southampton, and this is another quite interesting story. So, not long after he signed for Southampton, he was in Milton Keynes, and I went out with a mate, had a cheeky Nando's. So yeah, and he was there and saw him, said hello, everything else. And somebody that I was sat at the table with who's not up on football, was like, "Do you know that person?" I was like, "Yeah, he's a footballer." And he's like, "Oh wait, is that the guy that you put?" Because Southampton did like the Hassan Hootel Express thing. And he was like the latest signing, obviously, at that time. So they did this whole like social media thing. And then this guy was like to me, "Oh, was that the guy that you posted about the other day on your Instagram story?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He's like, "Oh, so he's the one that's got on the train." I was like, "Yeah, that's the same guy." And he's like, "What? And you've just said like hello to him?" I was like, "Yeah, like I know him." So yeah, he got shafted a little bit at Southampton, I think. Hassan Hootel at the time was playing a back three. Interestingly, if we do go to a back three, I would probably suggest he play right of a three, not in the middle. Um, so yeah, it was quite interesting. And then, like I say, at Southampton, Ralph then went from a three to a four. Didn't really get a look in, but I like the way he's then rebuilt his career afterwards. Obviously, playing in the Champions League with Lyon, played against Arsenal and played very well against Arsenal. I think it was last season in the Champions League, and yeah, like I say, now is a fully fledged sort of Austrian international. I'd seen him play, I think, for Austria's under 21s when they played England, at Stadium MK, and again he stood out. Real sort of leader, commanding presence at the back. So I think we've got a half decent centre half here, and yeah, like I say, I'm obviously really hoping it does work out because he's someone that I know, and text his brother last night, just to see if I could get ahead of the curve a little bit and stuff like that. He responded to me this morning when obviously news had pretty much broke by then. So, but yeah, no, really, really looking forward to seeing him in a Spurs shirt. Don't ask for any plugs or anything like that,
Already tried
guys.
that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, obviously, because he's a busy guy now. So, but yeah, no, like I say, I'm just buzzing for him. But yeah, at the same time, I think from a sort of personal perspective, I'm a bit like, okay, like why have you picked Tottenham? Because if I look at obviously the way we play is going to be important to us, but I'm looking at it from his point, like how much game time is he going to get? Like there's a World Cup in 18 months. He's going to want to be
But
there.
I think right
He's going
now
to
he's going
want
to
to
get
play.
a lot. I don't think it's too soon, like a Thursday, for example. But FA Cup, I don't see why he can't play in
But
that.
then we've got. I think if we had, I'm not saying Tamworth, that's not his level by any stretch of the imagination. But if we had maybe more of a championship, and I know I'm saying this about an established international footballer, but to kind of ease him in a little bit, if we'd have had a more favourable cup draw, so to
Yeah,
speak,
but it's not like he
I
hasn't
think
been
that would.
playing.
No, he has, but I think he's coming into a club at the moment where things are still up and down. I think at the moment on and off certainly off the pitch. But I look at it and go, well, once Romero's back, he's going to be
Yeah.
on the bench, sort of fighting for his place. He's going to be more of a squad option. But I know, if I know him the way I do, I know he's going to want to be at that World Cup. So, obviously, I want him to play at the World Cup, as well for Austria, should they get there, of course. But yeah, it's kind of that like, okay, well, in 18 months' time, you've got a World Cup. You want to be in that manager's plans, and if you're not playing regularly, is that gonna potentially hamper that chance? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah. Then
it's a great move for
yeah,
him, and I'm buzzing for him. Of course I am. He's annoyed loads and loads of people that I know because we both know loads of Arsenal fans, and yet they're sharing the fact that he signed for Spurs. So he's rattled a few Gooners. So he's fully Spurs already. But yeah, I'm just looking at it from that perspective, like why Tottenham compared to like okay, I understand if he goes to Wolves, he plays every week,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no doubt about that.
But then I
He's
think it's about like, for a good thing, right? Let me look at it on this side from
yeah,
from a whole. Like we've got now, okay, Dragashin's probably out for the rest of the season or close to it with
yeah.
because what happened, it looked so freaked that there has to be something bad from that in my eyes.
Hmm.
Romero's coming back, Van der Ven's pretty much back, and then we've got Ben Davis, right?
Hmm.
So what that means is it just like place competition, isn't it? So it's now like, okay, now is your time to come in and hit the ground running immediately. So it's like a week's worth of training now to come in and get yourself up to scratch. And I don't see why he can't play in the Aston Villa game. I don't see why it can't be either a Ben. I could see Ben Davis and Danso playing together because I think Van der Ven, if he plays Thursday, which I expect him to, then
Hmm.
I expect him then to be rested for
For
Villa.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yes, and I could see Ben Davis, done so centre back pairing. And look, we've done crazier things. At one point, we ended up with Jed Spence and Archie Gray at centre back. So I think
Yeah.
for him to come in and then if he can put in a couple of good performances before Romero gets back fit, then why can't he? And long term, I don't see it happening too much with Ange because when we did, we got battered by Everton. But why can't it evolve this tactic? I would my opinion, my favourite formation is three centre backs, two wing backs that can get forward, overlap. That's probably my favourite formation. But I know Ange doesn't play like that, so potentially it
And
doesn't
and,
work.
and
But
you hated Conte for it as well, by the way.
yeah, but I hated Conte because he used it in a boring way. Like
I
you can be so attacking with it. Invert your wingers and get your
yeah.
um, overlapping wing backs, and why not? But anyway, we can talk about this all night. But look, the good thing for him is like, okay, I can come in and get another chance at Premier League football.
Hmm.
And okay, why am I choosing Spurs? If you look at it from a Tomori or even a Diassi or a Tell point of view, right? They're looking at it to say, well, maybe look at Spurs in their current predicament. I'd rather play where I am because I won't get Champions League next year, rather than he's maybe looking at it and saying, well, actually, I can come in and really stamp my place and potentially be a starter, in a Premier League team. Actually, there's more opportunity right now due to injuries to get my foot in, and why not? And it could be the fact that I don't know, but maybe Big Ange has had a word with him as well because he tends to talk with most people. So there's lots of options out there for sure for him. And by the looks of him, I don't know him at all,
Hmm.
but he looks big, strong, good in the air, and I don't think he's too slow either. So I think what because you said originally he was like trying to be a winger, right?
Yeah, or a more forward
Yeah,
type
yeah. So
player.
therefore he's got to
So
have something about him for a centre half. So yeah, why not? I'm all for it.
yeah, no, like I say, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, why have we signed him? But it's more like I guess you're right in the sense of I think because of the situation we're in, like now is probably the perfect time
Yeah,
for a defender, if you like, to come in because they know they're going to get game time. Um, but yeah, I think I was just more looking at it from perhaps that different perspective and going, well, actually, yeah, he's going to play now, but then in a few weeks, what's going to happen then? I know he could obviously drop a few worldies and sort of make himself undroppable, but I think, hierarchy in terms of players, he would definitely be behind Romero in that sense. I think the competition for places is always good and always healthy at a football club. So it'll be interesting, I think, to see obviously what's going to happen in the summer, because there is obviously strong rumours that Romero could be away in the summer. So yeah, but no, like I say, I'm buzzing for somebody from my area to sign for my club again. It's and the irony of it is it's happened 10 years to the day since we signed Delhi
That's crazy, isn't it?
from
That's
MK.
mental. Yeah,
Like 10 years to the day. Like that's crazy.
yeah,
So it feels like fate in that sense.
yeah.
So yeah, no,
Luke
like I say,
Parker
buzzing for him.
said Romero could be out up to a month away from his return to training because he's had a setback apparently.
Fair enough.
But yeah, who knows? Let's give a shout out to some people anyway, because I know you've all been patiently watching in the chat. So let us know who you are, where you're from, and what your thoughts are currently about anything in the world, to be honest, apart from politics. Yeah, I was about to say something which I won't say, to be honest. Very scrappy game to watch. This is from Jay. We definitely need to sign more players in January, especially a striker. Who can we actually sign for a striker? Because there really isn't a lot of options for sure. Actually, do you know what? Let's touch on this before we go. We've got so much to talk about. I'm actually wasting time, but I don't care. So yeah, like let's look at let's talk about it as a forward because I think it's not necessarily knowing Ange Postecoglou like I know him. It's not going to be not out and out striker. In my eyes, it's going to be a diverse winger that can play in the middle if we need them to. That tends to be what he likes, especially with Odegaard being out, Yang going out on loan to QPR. What are you thinking? Who after all the names that we've thrown around, like if I was to ask you right now, who would you go for in the current market? Who are you going out for?
Ansu Fati on loan.
Really?
Yeah, just I think he can cover multiple positions across that front line, which is a big plus, obviously, and I think it's something that Ange looks for. Yeah, I think he's had a stuttering time of it over the last few years with injury, etc. I know everybody will go, yeah, but he didn't really exactly set the world alight at Brighton. But having said that, I think again, stuttering time, injuries didn't help him. But I think there is a player in there, like 100%. Like let's not forget the kind of wonder kid that sort of burst onto the scene at Barcelona. Um, I didn't really understand the idea behind Rashford at this time. Um, a few years ago, I was all for Marcus Rashford coming into Spurs. But yeah, I just think given our recruitment and what we like to do, I think Ansu Fati on loan to me makes the most sense.
No, fair enough. Do you know what? I think it's just because I'm so put off by his performance at Brighton. When he went on loan. When we did want him before, that puts me off. It probably wouldn't happen now because Rashford's gone out on loan. But I would have gone for Garnacho on loan. It actually kind of contradicts what I'm saying in terms of like playing across the front three because he can't play through the middle in my eyes. But as a wide player in that left position, which I feel like we could do with having, and probably could play on the right as well, with Johnson out. And he already plays in the Premier League, and I watched him, well, at least the highlights for the United game in Europe, and I thought, even then he's got that kind of bit of skill, and especially how Ange likes to play with little touches here and there. He did a really nice back heel to Dalot on that side, and that's personally who I would go for, like in the current market, looking at like he's pretty much out of favourite at United, so that's what I would go for, but. I would be happy with anybody at the moment because it's last chance saloon. We've got basically pretty much a day or so, and then the window comes.
Yeah. I think my longer term target would be Karim Adeyemi from Dortmund. I think he just screams like a Heung-min Son replacement. I mean the geezer's absolutely rapid as well, and I think if you look at the majority of the wider players that we have signed. They are absolutely rapid. I mean, Son used to be quick. He's not that quick anymore. So, yeah, I think Adeyemi on that left-hand side would be, like I say, that's my longer term preference.
Yeah.
I think now in the short term, like I say, maybe an Ansu Fati on loan, but yeah, my long term preference is Karim Adeyemi 100% because I think he just suits the way that we play. Very direct, very dynamic, can chip in with goals. as well. And yeah, still relatively young, so has that high ceiling. The only thing is that Dortmund do not sell cheap.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? So I think somebody like that would be unbelievable signing. Personally, and
Mhm.
Adeyemi I think would be class. If you look at age as well and potential and everything that's factored into it, that looks like a Spurs signing, but it doesn't look like a Spurs signing you could get done at the 11th hour
Mhm.
when the deadline's fast approaching. Looks like Spurs are still pushing for another defender, but I know Ange definitely wants another attacker. I think we saw from Richarlison today that he's just not suited to this team, at all, this level in my
Mhm.
eyes. I've never seen a worse Brazilian player, and I've said it before. Even there's times when he's switched on. There's times that he can, look at Everton, that kind of poacher's finish at far post from the Mikey Moore cross. Um, I think that was a good goal, and a good finish from him. But he just looked a yard off it today, and even the hold up play, when the ball was fired into him. What I was saying on TikTok actually, because I did TikTok live after the game, and I said with Richarlison, he's got X amount of good qualities, right? Solanke has all of Richarlison's qualities and more. So therefore,
Mhm.
he has the ability to hold that ball up. He can get in behind. He can get a poacher's finish. But he's better at it, and he's just a better version of Richarlison. And so, we need somebody else, in that slot. But again, it's like the problem that we had with Harry Kane. Like, you sign another top quality, centre forward, and how do you fit both players in and keep them happy? That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and I look at Richarlison, certainly in the last couple of games in particular, his movement in and around the box is absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
Like, even on Thursday, so many times where Son was beating his man, and you think, right, make a little bit of a darting move, like across the front, to maybe get ahead. Richarlison is literally just standing there in the box, and it's like, you can't afford to be static in the penalty box as a striker.
yeah,
And I think again today, so many times where there were little balls or crosses coming over, and he's just nowhere near them. I think if Solanke had played Thursday, he'd have bagged a hat trick minimum, because Solanke is a bit more alive in the penalty box. And I think we definitely missed Solanke today as well, because there was a lot of times where we had to go long and be more direct. And like you said, the way that Solanke can get his body in between himself, like the ball and the defender, is brilliant. So yeah, I think it's time for Richie to leave us in the
I think
summer
the
because
thing
I
is though, he's not interested in leaving, as far as I'm aware from what I hear, and so
no,
therefore,
because it's because he's becoming a dad, so he wants like is basically settled.
yeah,
But I ain't got time for that if you're not performing on the pitch.
no, we
Do you
need
know what I
someone to
mean?
come and buy him, don't we?
Yeah, so obviously he doesn't want that Saudi bag like John Duran.
No,
So yeah, it makes life difficult. Maybe Fulham will take him. I don't know.
yeah,
Clutching at straws here. Because obviously he's worked with Marco Silva before, obviously at Everton and at Watford, so that might be a good move for him. But I just don't think, like looking at the last couple of games, it feels like the end is near for Richarlison in a Spurs shirt for me. Because, like I
yeah.
say, he's never been a happy bugger, but Ian half looked miserable the last few games. Like, just crack a smile every now and then, Richie. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, any chance? So, yeah, I think if we want to get to a it will be in a better direction as a club and as a team, I think we need to part ways with Pombo, which is really sad because there is some good qualities with him, but yeah, it's like I say, his movement is shocking for a number nine, and
It's
I
bad.
think we need yeah. But then having said that, I think if you look at what's underneath that in terms of strikers for us, Scarlett hit and miss for
Yeah,
me. I know he scored on Thursday, didn't really have a lot to do today, but I think his whole Tottenham career reminds me, and he reminds me a lot of Marcus Rashford at United in the sense that probably won't end up being a real number nine. Will probably end up playing on off the left and attacking spaces from that side. Lancashire, I don't think is good enough. I think he's not mobile enough. I think you could also say the same for Villis as well. And I don't think they're going to work out under Ange. Because like I said, I don't think they're mobile enough. I don't think they're different profile of striker. They're more target men, and I don't think we will go down that route moving forwards. I think if put it this way, if we had like a Jermaine Defoe or even a Kyogo, say, a bit more of a poacher type striker, I think
Yeah.
would be more in business, shall we say? So yeah, I don't think the sort of tall, gangly target men, crouchy type number 9 is what we
No, because we're
what we
definitely not
need.
about crosses into the box. Put it that way.
We are, but they're low crosses. They're
Yeah,
not put it in the mixer, get it in the mixer and get somebody attacking it. I mean,
yeah,
if you look at sort of Haaland's goal today, it's very much ball in, yeah, you go and attack it. I don't think we're like that. I think as a striker, yes, you have to be sort of handy in the air, and I think I mean, Solanke's handy in the air, but I wouldn't say that's his main bag. But I think the others are more handy in the air, but I think their box work, if you like, isn't what we need. So
yeah.
yeah, I think a striker is small priority, shall we say, in the summer.
No, fair enough. I just wanted to touch on this from David Clark. He said today's game proves 100% that Ange Ball doesn't work. He certainly didn't play that today. Do you think it's about the fact that maybe sometimes the game has to change depending on opponents, or do you think that maybe we don't have the personnel right now? Do you know what really annoys me, right? And the only thing that probably annoys me about Ange Ball, because I'm probably still one of the only people on the planet that still wants this to work out for Ange Postecoglou. But what really annoys me, and I don't know if it's something that, because by the way, David, I think this is absolute total nonsense. What annoys me, right, is it's really hard to explain, but hopefully you'll understand. Let's say we're slowly moving out of a defensive transition into kind of a midfield transition. The ball gets played, to a defender, then into a midfielder, and then every so often a ball gets played to probably the fullback that's a little bit slightly further advanced by the byline when there's two men either side of them, and the worst pass of all time always gets played to them, and they're always that's the most of the time when the turnover happens. I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but effectively they get played that, but the player who receives the ball doesn't seem to have an issue with it, and then they get stuck in that, and then the turnover happens. Why are they playing that rather than going the other side? They tend to come back to the side that's most clogged up with players.
Yeah, that's decision making. There's not a lot there's nothing you can coach regarding
Right.
that,
That's a
because
player issue.
yeah, because so decision making comes under your psychological corner, if you like. So it's the hardest thing for any coach to coach in or out of somebody is their decision making, because ultimately you don't see the pictures that the player sees on the pitch, so you can kind of help them to try and make better decisions when they're on the ball, but I could chuck loads of information at a player and repeatedly work with them on the same thing, yet they go out onto the pitch and do the complete opposite.
Right. Okay.
So that's a decision making type of thing. But yeah, I think to go back to your earlier point on does the game sometimes depend on your opponent? Well, obviously Ange gets a lot of stick because he's not adaptable and he doesn't change things. But I think today we've seen that we've won in a different way. We haven't been all gung ho,
Yeah.
and a bit like Bielsa's Leeds, if you like. There's times where he's obviously went to the three at the back at Everton. You could have held flipping live aid in the gaps between our back line that day. It was atrocious. So I think Ange does adapt. He does look at situations, and yeah, does change things. But more often than not, sometimes you'll probably hear people a lot now, pundits and coaches, talk about game state. So if it is a little bit tight, right, and I think we have been guilty of this in the past where it is a tight game and we're still flying. No,
Yeah.
just sit in a little bit. And I think today was a big one for that. Like, just sit in, just be tight, be narrow.
Even at
And
1-0, I felt like, late on at 1-0, we decided, do you know what? We're going to, keep the ball. We're not going to make any silly passes.
Mhm.
and then that's actually what's led to the second goal.
Yeah, but that's good decision making from when we win the ball back, the first pass, the second pass, then the third one. So it's just making good decisions at the right time. I think if anybody watched the City Arsenal game, like towards the end of the game, Arsenal really took the sting out of it and were just popping the ball about, taking the sting out and playing the game at their speed. And then obviously City were like chasing shadows, and Bernardo Silva nearly kicked Lewis Skelly, I think it was, up in the air, which was brilliant for any Spurs fan watching. But there has to be a time when you take into account the current state of the game and you then adjust accordingly. So there was a lot of corners in today, and to be fair, considering set pieces was our Achilles heel big time last year, I think we've done a lot of work to address that this year. Which has been
think
pleasing.
That Brentford were really wasteful in terms of, especially in the second half when the sun was in the keeper's eyes and they didn't put the ball like right underneath the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I don't know what their keeper's doing for our first goal either. Like, how is he in front of
the centre back?
Not only Janelt, but I think was it Basuma? So there's no. I think Carragher was trying to explain it, but it was like there's no chance the goalkeeper's going to ever get towards the ball because he's in front of actually like players. So
it looked like he tried to like harass Basuma and like shove him out the way as the ball was 75% mid-flight.
Yeah,
it was like the corner got taken, and then he decided, "Oh, do you know what? I'm going to get into a shoving match at this moment."
Yeah, and I might try and nick and buy a foul. It didn't work, obviously, because we scored off the back of it. But yeah, that was like some baffling decision making from their goalkeeper. But again, it comes down to decision making. Like Thomas Frank can't legislate for a goalkeeper doing something like that in a game.
It happens that moment that I'm talking about. Like if those of you that either watching or listening and you haven't seen it, like next time we play a game, try and watch out for it, because you'll always notice a ball gets played into either one of the fullbacks, probably usually at that moment, by a midfielder. They then tend to run away. Like that's one thing I also see a lot. Players tend to run away from the ball rather than good players, especially in this system, need to show for the ball. So if a centre back plays the ball or plays a pass square, they need to move forward or backwards depending on where the space is, right? And I'm not a football coach, but just from watching football, like it's simple. But the moment that pass gets played, and it always gets played into a dangerous position, rather than turning, moving your body, shielding the ball, and then playing the opposite way. They always tend to play the easy pass into danger, and that's been our biggest downfall, I think.
Yeah, but I think that also comes to especially in the way that we play. And if you play with a 4-3-3 or effectively a 4-2-3-1 with a 6, that's where your 6 has to be disciplined and make himself available near enough all the time. But then also when they get the ball, they have to be reliable. Like they have to look after it. I don't particularly mind sometimes, and I know he used to get a lot of stick for this, but I genuinely think somebody like Harry Winks would work fairly well. I know Holly, who's watching, will be loving this right now because Harry Winks is her like Moussa Dembele, right? But Winks was usually available when we had the ball, and he would just keep it simple, like just keep us ticking over. Like sometimes I don't think any coach sort of minds these sort of 5-10 yard passes like square backwards, and then when the time is right, play that pass that will penetrate and break lines and everything else, and then it's about your players, for example, like Maddison or Kulusevski, those types, to receive on the half turn, then look to play forwards a bit more, and then link midfield to attack. But yeah, I think a lot of it is how disciplined is your 6. Can they get on the ball? Can they look to get us ticking and make things happen? And I think more often than not, Harry Winks did that in a Spurs shirt, but he just used to get battered for it. For me, it was harsh at times for Winks doing it. I think Skip showed it, and then he got injured, and I think that killed him. And then he never really got back to it, Oliver Skip, which was a shame.
Yeah, an interesting comment here, but I'll quickly touch on. I thought Bentancur was brilliant today, like kind of glimpses of his best, and really kind of showed aggression, but also mixed with kind of skill and kind of calmness. It's really hard to explain, but I thought it was really good. Really quickly before we move on, and we'll talk about Elfsborg really quickly. But Dio so thanks for joining us today, Dio. Said, why the sudden epiphany? We'll have to be short on this for tactical adjustment now. Going back to last year, and stated it was his way or the highway. Is fear of relegation the only thing that can influence because he hadn't for 9 months? Now,
Um,
I'll put it down to, first of all, I think it's players.
mm,
Injuries have caused the fact that you can't always play, that way. But, it could be the fact that, I don't see too many differences. I still see, inverted fullbacks, which people complained a lot they didn't like, and that's why we were getting overrun in wide areas. I still see wide wingers, Son, especially Kulusevski when he went out there. I don't see too much difference. He tends to juggle it around a little bit with the midfielders at times, whether it's two kind of sitting type
mhm.
players or, two kind of going forward. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think personnel is one. Um, Tactical adjustments. Now everybody goes on about this, right? But put it this way, Ange is still stuck to his principles, regardless of what, like you said there, formations or anything else that he's trying to play. He still sticks to his principles, which is to play out from the back, to keep a high line, out of possession, to have the fullbacks really high, although we haven't really seen that too often.
Yep.
We're going to try and dominate the ball as often as we can. So that side of things hasn't changed. Obviously, personnel is a big factor as to why there are some tweaks, but also take into account the opponent because yes, there is this way of going right. It's we play one way, etc., etc. But actually, all right, yeah, we have to sometimes take into account who we're playing. I mean, you know, City have been on a or were on an awful run. I didn't hear the pundits and the journalists saying that Pep needed to change and adjust. Do you know what I mean? Amarim's picked up, just as many points as he's played games. I don't see pundits and journalists asking for him to change and adapt. So yeah, it's annoying from that perspective. But yeah, I think he's tweaked things, but still stuck to his same principles, which is fine. I think the moment Ange deviates from his principles is the moment the players stop believing in him, and that is a big problem. And I think that will eventually lead to him getting the sack if he does that, but I don't think he will. And I think that's why we're in a situation where the players are still playing and fighting for him because they still believe in his principles and how he wants to play. Because I think we've seen it before with other managers. The moment the players don't believe in it, they turn. And then next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, the gaffer's out the door, and it's on to the next one.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Right, let's quickly talking about players. Let's talk about Thursday night because we run out 3-0 winners against Elfsborg, and 3 goals from 3 academy players: Mikey Moore, Scarlett, and I can never remember the last Ajayi.
Yes, well
Yeah,
done,
I,
Luke.
I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. Not that you're watching, or anybody that knows him probably is watching. But big up to them. I thought he was probably the most impressive in terms of having no fear and just getting stuck in. But I also liked how I said this again because just so that everyone that is aware that is watching, we do go. I tend to go live on TikTok right after the games, just to talk about what's happened. Get everyone's opinion. So if you are on TikTok, jump on and say hello on those. But I did mention that when you bring on kind of an academy player, it's very difficult for them to just come in and make an impact. But if you bring on 2 or 3, or 3 that were on the pitch, if they played together, they already have that cohesion together. So his little ball into Scarlett's little flick out. They've probably done that many times before. I thought that was really good. I thought that Scarlett's movement for his goal was
Hmm.
excellent because of the way he just kind of backed off, went forward, then backed off, and just got that few yards to be able to get a header. And to be fair, he's not a tall lad, so to get that, I thought was brilliant. And then Mikey Moore, after the other 2 scored, to me, it just looked like every time he picked the ball up, he was like, I need to score. Like, I really want to be part of this. And, if I'm not going to big him up this too much, right? But I believe if someone like Messi scores a goal like that from the halfway line, people are talking about it.
Yeah, but that's the greatest player of a generation. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like yeah. But no, it was good. The kids are all right, aren't they? To be fair, yeah, I
They do all
think
right.
like you said, Scarlett, really pleased for him. Movement was brilliant, and I think, put it this way, I don't think Richarlison scores that goal, if I'm being honest.
No,
Especially with the performance he was dropping on Thursday night. Like I said earlier, he was awful. Light to dry, he looked bright. And yeah, the confidence for him to just get the ball and be like, yeah, give me the ball and I'll do something. I want to make something happen. Was really good. I think every Spurs fan was just buzzing for Mikey Moore because there's such clamour for him to be playing all the time, give him minutes, get him in the team, that kind of thing. And I think he needed that goal because I think sometimes as a player you sort of sleepwalk, if you like, into, well, I've played, you know 15, 20 games and I've
yeah,
not really had any sort of meaningful goal contributions, if that makes sense. And I haven't really scored, so I think that from that side of things, for him, brilliant. And yeah, it was a good performance in the last 20 minutes because I think the first 70 minutes were an absolute snooze fest, to be honest. So I was struggling to stay awake, especially after the first half. In particular, it was a little bit of a struggle for us, but credit to Elfsborg, they made it difficult. Obviously, they had a job to do as well, so, and trying to get through themselves. So, yeah, I was just pleased that we got the job done, like, in the end, and it was almost like that's how it should have been against bloody Tamworth. Do you know what I mean?
no.
Just get the job done. We don't care how it happens, but just get the job done,
I
lads.
think with
So,
Elfsborg, though, we will move on to Liverpool, but they were set up for a draw. They were set up
hmm,
for a park the bus, walk away with a 0-0, and they'll get through. The issue was as soon as we score, they then have to go forward, which did open it up. But I don't see too much wrong with you know the Spurs performance. I think it was pretty standard, but I just don't see we're just not good enough to be able to break down a low block at this moment in time, or a very heavy low block.
I think that game was crying out for James Maddison, and I've been probably one of his biggest critics over the last probably year now, or since he come back from his injury in particular, because I don't think he's been the same player. I think he's been really frustrating to watch. Um, but that game Thursday night was crying out for James Maddison. Um, but again, it then depends on what Madison's going to turn up. Is he
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
one that wants the ball every 30 seconds, like, yeah, give it to me, I'll make something happen, or is it going to be the one that gets it, has a look up, sees a pass, slows it down? And I think that's the biggest frustration for me with Madison. Like, when he wants to play, he's brilliant, but he doesn't do it often enough for me. Um, so, like I say, that's the biggest frustration because he's got the ability there, 100%. And I think I said it after a game fairly recently, and it was like he literally played like Lewis Holtby. And if anybody remembers Lewis Holtby, they will know that he was probably one of the most frustrating players in a Spurs shirt. He's the only number 10 I've seen that wants to get the ball off the centre halves. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
clear off and get up the other
So
end
much
of the pitch.
ability, but just chooses the wrong option every time.
Yeah, so yeah, I think there is those comparisons, like I say, for me with Madison and Holtby. So yeah, I think, like I say, it was just crying out for him because when he wants to, Matters, he has got that eye for a pass and he can play that killer ball. He just doesn't do it often enough. And I think if he did risk the ball effectively more, I think Spurs fans would appreciate him a lot more than perhaps what we do right now.
Yeah, definitely. He has been probably as well for me probably one of the most frustrating players that we have. But at some point, hopefully that Madison when we first signed him will come back. But until then, let's talk about Thursday night. So Thursday night, Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg away at Anfield. Spurs have got a 1-0 lead going into that. And I've been saying this for the last few weeks. Give me an Ange Postecoglou in a cup final and he wins it. No matter whether it's Arsenal or Newcastle. 100% he wins that game. Now, we need to get there first. So this is the big problem, isn't it? Look, let's not forget we are winning 1-0 at this moment in time. So there's a lot for us to be excited about. But one of the questions I've been pondering, Wesley,
Mm.
for the last kind of few hours, 4 or 5 hours, has been who plays centre half, or which two players play centre half against Liverpool on Thursday night.
Kev and
Oh,
Mickey.
no chance.
Chuck him in.
Said, he's not ready to play against.
I didn't say he wasn't ready. I didn't say he wasn't ready, but yeah.
I wish we had a game against Tanworth. We could bed him in.
To sort of ease him in, but we're not in that situation. Like ideal situation, yeah, you ease him in. But look at what happened to Kinski. Chucked him in against Liverpool. Again, ideal situation, you ease him in a bit. But no, we had to chuck him straight in, and my goodness, what a find we've got, what a goalkeeper we've got. So yeah, chuck Kevin, and I think him playing alongside Van de Ven would be brilliant, because I think every centre half that's played alongside Van de Ven has looked a hell of a lot better with him next to them. So yeah, I would go with Kev and Mickey.
Okay, interesting. Right. I still haven't decided yet, but I'm pretty convinced on Gray and Mickey. Now, originally in my head, it was Ben Davies and Mickey, but then I don't want Mickey Van de Ven playing on the right side because I don't like him on the right side of that pairing. I think Ben Davies has gone under the radar at least the last couple of games as well. I think again today he was just solid.
Welsh Maldini, mate.
Yeah, but obviously with having Mo Salah on that right-hand side, and then you've obviously got Jed Spence, is who I would play as a left back, and then Mickey. At least they can double up and Mickey can help out with pace in case Jed ever gets beaten for pace by Salah. I just think that combination works really well. So I wouldn't want Ben Davies as a right side. So therefore, I feel like he has to drop out, and I just don't think that Dan. So I think you would be mad to put him in, but saying
that, Van de Ven had one training session and played. Kinski had 2 training sessions and played. So yeah, sometimes you just got to chuck somebody in at the deep end and see if they sink or swim, I guess. So yeah, and I think because Kev is right-footed as well, it then gives you more of a balance. And actually, I would actually quite like Archie Gray to have a bit of a breather. I know he's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm like so glad that we bought him, etc., etc. But I think he needs a break, because I think he's running. Sometimes there's elements of his game that I think you're running on fumes, lad. Like you need a breather. So I think, yeah, I would personally drop him out, Archie Gray, give him a little breather, but have him on the bench just in case we need it, that Swiss Army knife of a human to fill in anywhere. I agree with Spence though at left back. When I was at the reverse fixture, or when I wasn't at the game, sorry, but when I watched it, he absolutely pocketed Salah. So, and I think 1v1 Spence has been brilliant when he has had to face a so-called tricky sort of wider player. 1v1 he's been good. I'll give him his flowers, because I have been critical of Jed, and saying that I still don't think he's potentially what we need. But like I say, having said that, he's done well recently. So props to you, Mr. Spence.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I've said to Dave. He said, Luke, are you saying defamatory things? Is that why you're now Dave for the show?
I think it's because your name is Park Lane Pod Dave.
Oh, yeah.
That could be why.
Oh, let's get that changed. Why didn't you tell me before the show?
I didn't. I only realised halfway through, and I thought, actually, let's see how long it takes you to realise.
Do you know what it is? Because Dave changes it and then doesn't change it back again. No one follows me on Twitter, man, anyway. Do you know what? We could put anything we want, couldn't we?
You could get away with it. You're the host with the most. So
there we go. So anyway, moving on. Whoever plays, it's a massive, sitting there. I feel like it would be harsh on Gray, but at the same time, it's a big ask to try and keep, because then on that right side, you've got Gakpo probably, or Jota through the middle, or Nunez, whoever they decide to go, or even Diaz, whoever they decide to go with, has then got to deal with Porro, and Gray and Porro are probably not the best two to try and sort that out. So maybe if you have an actual centre back, someone who can play right side, that's probably going to be better. So let's see. It's really interesting to go through that. Do you have any score predictions for the Liverpool game?
3-1 Liverpool.
Oh, you absolute scumbag!
Listen, mate, we are cursed again. Not only against Liverpool, but at Anfield. Like the last time we won there, I was still in school. Right? I'm nearly 30 years of age, just to put that in context for people. So yeah, like it's been a long time since we've won at Anfield, and you look at games gone by and how sort of cursed we have been against Liverpool. Yeah, I just think I'm never confident going to Anfield. Put it that way. So yeah, I just think the crowd are going to be with them. They've got to come out and show something. So yeah, I think 3-1 Liverpool.
Do you know what? Oh, 1-1.
I'll bite your hand off for that now, because I just got this feeling that we're going to just try and sit on this 1-0 lead, and I think if we do that at Anfield, we're playing a very dangerous game. So yeah, I think and obviously if Liverpool do score early, then I am fearing the worst at that point, 100%.
Yeah, that's it. I think the first 20 minutes is going to be key, but time will tell, and we will discuss it next week. Dave has said, "How's the score table looking?" Well, Dave, we will get onto that. You've got to watch till the end to see see how we're getting on.
If he comes on the show, he can also have a look as well.
Yeah,
By the way,
exactly.
just throwing that one out there, Dave.
Your mum has gone for 4-1 Liverpool.
Yeah, she knows the curse. That's
Yeah.
why.
Oh, Dave's gone 3-2 Liverpool, and we lose on penalties.
Okay.
Is it straight to penalties?
I think it might be.
I thought the other rounds were. Do you know what? They change these competitions so much.
I remember when they did like the ABBA style penalties as well. That was really strange and confusing time of our lives, where it was like, right, one team goes and then the next team get 2 penalties, and then the other team goes again, and it was just
Oh yeah, like A B.
yeah, ABBA style penalties. So yeah, that was a strange time in everybody's life.
3-2 Spurs, but that then means it's a draw. So then what happens?
Yeah, what happens? Yeah, what happens, Dad? Like, help us out.
Which is annoying, because literally before the show, in additions to it, and now it's not even going to feature. So no one's very happy in this chat. Jay's also gone 3-1 Liverpool. But let's touch on Aston Villa while I invite or bring Dave on. Give your thoughts on FA Cup game. For me, we have to go all out on Thursday night, see what happens, and then figure out the squad for Sunday on there.
Yeah, let's just take one game at a time. I think let's just roll with that. You all right there, Dave?
I'm good, mate. How you doing?
I'm all good. Nice to see you.
I know. Good. I thought it was good news yesterday. We signed our 6th choice centre back in the transfer window. Thought that was decent.
Yeah, I know, but he's all right. I can vouch. He's all right.
Your mate Kev.
Yeah, my big mate Kev.
We're even getting turned down by Axel Disasi, mate. What's going on?
Shit. Axel disaster.
The thing is if I've been saying this all weekend, if we look at how Paratici loves to do business, there's always plenty of at least 5 options all at once. So I wouldn't, know at which level each centre back sits in terms of choice.
Yeah, but we got Langdon now, or Lango, whatever his name is.
Yeah, but Paratici's still there, isn't he? I'm sure he's still.
Yes, but we need Fabio to be the one pulling the strings. Like, give me that carnage and chaos of 6 deals going off at once, and then going, yeah, I'll go for that one. Boom.
Yeah, but then that's clearly what's, from me, that's what looks like's happened. We've been talking to 3 or 4 at the same time. It was at least Tomori, Diassi, and then obviously there's no chance that Danzo was done in like an hour and a half, and it's taken them 30 days to do the rest of it.
Yeah, no, of course. But I think it's that I think it was how it was publicized. So it was more like, okay, so we were in talks with, and then, but I think this time it's like, right, we've agreed something for Tomori with the clubs. Whereas I think under Paratici, it was just like, we're effectively sounding however many for a position out first before acting. Whereas this time it's like, right, we've done all that. We're on to that next stage, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, well, Matthias Tell can't be bothered. He wants a different project. Tomori still wants to be, fifth choice centre back at Milan because they've got Champions League football. And yeah, Kev's got the move of his life, so I'm buzzing with
that. Dave, what are you thinking about Villa on Sunday? And also, we haven't discussed if we're going to do a show or not because it's a late game, isn't it, on Sunday?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I don't know. Villa are lively in that transfer window.
Now, January's a hard window, mate.
It's like they're playing Football Manager 2022.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like I said, January's a really hard window, isn't it? You can't buy anybody. They've just gone out and got Rashford, Asensio. They're trying to get João Felix. Their owners acting like proper club owners, mate.
They've got Marlon as well, by the way.
Marlon at Chelsea.
They got who?
They signed Donyell Marlon as well from Dortmund.
Have they really? That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like
so...
they're acting like a proper club, mate, and their owners are acting like a proper club. When you are pushing for trying to get to that next level, which is what our owners should have done.
I don't agree though. I don't think signing half-washed players that couldn't make it at United, PSG.
Is this the same Marcus Rashford, Lou, that you've been begging for us to sign this month?
And you can't say that about Asensio. Asensio was class for Real Madrid, but you go to PSG, you end up in a wilderness, mate. That's what happens with everybody. You don't get played enough.
That's my point. 2 years ago, these players are all right. Felix, about 4 years ago, was sound. But I mean, what's any of them done in the last 2 years to make it worthwhile being ambitious owners?
But Luke, you wanted us to sign Rashford, and now you're saying he's washed.
No. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't turn around and say Daniel Levy was being ambitious by going out and getting Asensio, Rashford. It's all about everyone thinks they're great signings based on names alone. In my eyes, that's my opinion on it.
No, but they're signing the big name players with the pedigree that have done it, been there and done it. That's the thing. That's the big thing here. They're not signing good up-and-comers who can make a difference in a few years' time. They're signing players that have been there, have done it, have lost their way a little bit, but there's still a gem of players in there.
You go like that, Luke, right? Yeah, but you go like that, but then Watkins, if you look at the trajectory now that Ollie Watkins has gone through since he's worked with Unai Emery, it's been phenomenal. Like, Watkins was nowhere near the England setup. Unai Emery gets hold of him, and all of a sudden now he's near enough a shoo-in for near enough every single England squad. And I think the job that Unai Emery has done at other clubs, barring Arsenal because he got shafted, has been absolutely brilliant. Like, he improves players a lot. So, yeah, I think sometimes different management styles work for different players.
Can I just say, is it vain that I'm watching us at the same time? On in the background.
Yeah, look, only time will tell, right? We might be sitting at the end of the season saying, "Oh, what genius scouting, department they have." But we banged on for ages, or fans banged on for ages. They want to be more like Brighton and other teams like that. And yet now we're talking about the fact that we wish we'd signed players that used to be decent at Real Madrid or used to be decent at Atletico Madrid. One
of the last players we bought that was decent at Real Madrid turned out all right, and Rafael van der Vaart. So I'll take that all day, to be honest.
Yep. And now we're getting turned down by everybody left, right, and centre. Even Daniel Levy's trying to fly out because he's panicking. I'm going to lose my job. That's what he's like, mate.
Yeah. I do look at it in a positive, though. These rejections, I often... me, I'm always positive about everything. But, I mean, I look at it definitely as a positive thing for a kick up the arse for the ownership as a whole. I think it's not good. They can try and drown out noise. They can try and tear down banners, whatever they want to do. But when it's like players flat out rejecting and it's all over the media, I don't think you can hide that.
No, you can't. And we were, even today, the Brentford game, like, Levy out chants were loud, mate, even when we were winning. There's a movement coming, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We want that blood money, Luke, don't we?
No, we don't. You go. I tell you what. You go with John Duran, and we'll all stay here. Thanks.
See,
mate.
That's a signing. Like, as if he wanted to leave there, mate. That's we should have been all over that.
Yeah, but there's no
we
chance
need a striker
to another Premier League club.
Well, they were going to send him to West Ham not long ago.
Yeah.
Hey, John Duran was on Instagram Live doing the irons and all sorts, and West Ham still fumbled him.
Amazing. I saw actually West Ham today signed Evan Ferguson. I was convinced that was who we were going to go for in the transfer market. I was convinced by it.
That
Yeah, I
was
was
supposed to be
surprised he
Harry
didn't.
Kane's replacement as well, by the way.
Yeah,
Remember
he's
those
unbelievable.
times?
But he's had a little fall recently as well. So maybe it's in the waters in this transfer window, I suppose. Who knows? But anyway, Dave, there's no wheel today, sadly. But
I know.
give us your scores for the Villa FA Cup game.
I think we'll win, actually. I think we'll win 2-1. I think Villa will play a weakened team. They might try out the new signings that they're going to get and that they've got, so that they might not gel that quickly. So I'm kind of thinking that we're going to win that 2-1.
Nice. Wesley?
3-2 Spurs.
I'm going to go with Dave. 2-1 Spurs. There's nothing on the table for it, so might as well just
Well, you
copy
might as well go at me, mate, because I'm top.
Oh, spoiler alert. Anyway, let's talk about the score predictor table.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah, exactly. So these were the scores from today's game. We weren't on last week because every single person pulled a sick note. So
Oh no, I did not pull a sick note. I was actually at the game.
the wheel predicted 5-1 Spurs for me, 4-2 Brentford for Winnie, a 2-0 Spurs win for Dave, 2-2 draw for, I think that was actually for Wes, but anyway, and 5-3 Brentford for Callum. Anyway, it doesn't matter because neither of you two got any points. Me and Dave were the only ones that got any points. So I got 1 and Dave got 3 points, which now means that Dave is top with 14, overtaking Winnie. That's what he gets for missing half the season. Winnie's on 13, Wes on 7. I'm now on 5, so Callum is now rock bottom on 4. So we won't have any scores, for this week. So the table will stay as it is. So Dave, not long to go. Don't be like Arsenal. Bottle it. Can you hold on to your lead for the rest of the season?
I can't see why not. I mean, I've just gone bottom in FPL, but I'm going to live by that for a little while. That's my new thing.
Dave's going to get a picture of that and frame it.
That's on pause. Yeah, I don't see why not. I'll just keep using the wheel to my advantage, and there we go.
Amazing. Right, let's have a look, see what's going on. There's a few comments that have just flown in, and then we'll end up. So Johnny said, if you're playing at home, 3-3. If you're playing away, 3-2 to Villa. Whereas your mum said 4-1 Spurs in the Cup. Off the back of a battering to Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. Wow.
Yeah, we have a half decent record at Villa Park as well, to be honest. So I think that could be. I don't think my mum is aware of that, by the way. So she's clutching, I think.
2-1 Spurs. Jay has said 3-1 Spurs. So lots of positivity for the FA Cup, but not a lot for the Carabao Cup. Look, come back next week and we'll be celebrating.
I see Johnny's all in the comments today because Arsenal won.
Oh, yeah, they're staying really humble as well, Dave. And just
he don't turn up when they lose.
No, fair enough. Right, let's quickly discuss on air because we don't plan anything. We are playing at 5:35 next week, so let's do an 8 o'clock. We'll talk about it, but plan is for 8 o'clock next Sunday, so an hour delay because of the FA Cup game. We'll discuss who's going to be on and who's not, but keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you are all subscribing and all the good stuff. I didn't actually mention any of that today. Make sure if you're listening to any podcast platform as well, make sure you leave a comment because I think we did get a comment recently. So thank you to whoever that was. Proud of that one comment on Spotify. So congrats to you. I think it was actually a really shitty comment as well, but I still appreciated it. Anyway, Dave, thanks for coming on for 5 minutes. How can everyone find you?
Well, firstly, Johnny, you're not the only team in a title race, mate, because the title race is just Liverpool's. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, mush. Just because you beat City, it don't make you God. You can find me at Park Lane Pod Dave on Twitter or at Park Lane Pod here pretty much every week, even if it's only for 5 minutes. And tomorrow night, FPL, 7 o'clock. Is it 7 o'clock?
Is it not on?
It's on tomorrow because I'm bottom. So if I don't turn up, I'm gonna get pelters. So it will be on tomorrow. I think it's 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I can't remember the time, but I'll let everyone know. It's 8 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah. Don't know. The clock's gone back recently. I'm confused.
8 o'clock.
But yeah,
the fat will be back.
We'll be there tomorrow. But yeah, on the usual platforms. So don't forget to follow the channel, like, subscribe, Twitter, X. Same thing, whatever it is. Spotify. I don't know. Are we on LinkedIn yet?
Not yet. Not yet. We could be, yeah. I tell you what, we're on Instagram, TikTok, X or Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All just search Park Lane Pod or Park Lane Podcast. Thank you. Wesley, how can everyone find you?
Twitter's at Wes010. I've been obviously tweeting about my mate Kev the last day and a half or so. Unofficial Musa Dembele fan account, as everybody knows by now. Instagram's at Wes032. Don't think I'm due to be at a Spurs game until Man United, actually, at home, which is around Valentine's. Football coaching and all that other good stuff is Kofa MK or Kofa Kickoff Football Academy across your socials for that. We've got a half-term camp coming up in Dele Alli, Leah Williamson, and now Kevin Danso country. So if there is anybody watching from MK, please get your son or daughter booked in, because we'd love to help them on their footballing journey. And then usually on Hotspur Huddle, when Holly can be bothered to throw in an appearance, she's worse than Winnie, I think. That's usually 7:30, sorry, on a Wednesday, where we discuss all different footballing topics. We have a little bit of FPL chat in there as well, because I've actually been doing decent for a change. That's pretty much it, Luke.
Amazing. Thank you very much. You can follow me, Luke_Parklane on Twitter, but more importantly, follow Park Lane Podcast or at Park Lane Pod. I can't even be bothered to tell you all about my business ventures, so we'll leave it at that. But one week I might actually even just sponsor the show with both of our businesses, to be fair, because I don't know why I don't. But anyway, look, it's been great to have you all back. Nice to see you, David, Johnny, Jay, Wes's parents, Dio.
Yeah, big up Wes's parents. They're every week.
I know, yeah. Big up to everybody that follows us. We'll have clips from the show on across all socials all week, every week. So keep tuned in. And more importantly, tell your friends to subscribe. But until next time, when we'll be celebrating, hopefully, Spurs in a cup final, a massive, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.